my salty pecans, and welcome back to my channel if you're new here. Hi, my name is Pamela, and on today's video I'm going to make a 1-year update in regards to this beauty. This is my Philodendron Burle Marx. I actually purchased this plant as a cutting, and when this plant arrived, it did not look promising at all, but here we are. So I got many requests to do an update on this plant, so if you're interested in my updates in some plant care, in some rooting care, propagation care, and fertilization care, then keep on watching. So welcome back, everyone. Okay, I do want to mention that this is actually Philodendron Burle Marx 1 of 2. This is actually the second Philodendron Burle Marx. The seller, when I purchased this plant, it was not in good shape at all, like I mentioned, so they decided to send me a replacement cutting just on their own. This looks not too good. But this one looks not bad. This is this leaf. This is looking like some sort of just discoloration. Of course, I'm gonna isolate all my plants, you know, before. There's a lot of like yellow spots on this plant. The freak. And this new leaf on here, yeah, it probably just has a bunch of cold damage from just being in transit for so long with no heat pack. And this was the replacement cutting. It's insane to just see the difference in size. Even though they live in the same home, they are in different care. I care for this one, my mom cares for this one. You know, it shows that depending on what you provided, the plant can't look a different way. But I'm gonna put this one down because this is actually pretty heavy. Like I mentioned, I actually recently repotted this plant in a video that I did on my channel with Svetlana. For the last year, it's been living inside of the same little pot. It's been living in this very dry sort of aeroidy soil that's filled with orchid bark, perlite. I decided to also add some charcoal. I have randomly added some worm casting, and fertilization wise, I have used my aquarium water, I've used fish emulsion, I've used liquid dirt. If you are interested in any of the products that I mentioned, I'm going to have every single one linked down below. So I'm not going to be showing you products, but anything that you're curious in regards to fertilization wise, I will have all of those products linked down below. And some of them I can also have coupon codes for you to save some percentage off of your total purchase. Since I received this plant, it has been living in my northeast facing window, and it's just absorbed that very hot, very dry summer that we've had in 2020. It also absorbed a lot of that cold, cool winter that we had early 2020. And then during the fall winter season, I decided to move it from the window because I was afraid of it freezing or getting some frost damage. So I decided to move it onto my dresser so it doesn't get direct sun, but that shows with the foliage. The top foliage are not as large as some of the bottom ones because these were getting more of a summer light, while the top is getting more of that damper, light winter sunlight. One thing I do want to note about this particular philodendron is that it does not mind drying out. This plant actually prefers drying out. I let this plant dry out completely, 100%. Dry out fully all the way through. I don't, you know, just water it when the first few inches, when it's like, no, this whole thing needs to feel like I can yank the whole plant pot out of here for it to be dry. I found that it works better for me with this plant if I do try and maintain a more consistent, X percentage or a specific watering schedule routine, even if the plant is not dry, then I will find lower leaf loss. So personally for me, I find that this plant prefers to dry out completely, and I absolutely love just how wild and untamed and yet still tamed this plant is. For the smaller one, it lives inside of just a plastic pot inside of a cash pole. This is one of the little cheapy ones, and as you can see, this root is, you know, it's popping out, but we can definitely repot this plant. I feel like it could afford a repotting, so I probably will repot this off screen. And just pop this off because it's not doing anything for anyone. So with all philodendron, the more light that you can provide them, the better. So if you have a great source of bright indirect sunlight, this plant will definitely benefit from that. But it is very noticeable in the foliage that with the seasons comes smaller foliage. This was a summer foliage, while this is a winter foliage. As you can see, size comparison, very, very small. But that is just what is happening in the area that I live in with the sunlight that I'm able to receive during the season that we are in. Like I mentioned, I received this as a cutting, so I had to propagate it and root it on my own. If you're interested, you can just propagate this straight into soil like I did. I skipped the whole step of the moss, of the perlite. I just put it in the substrate that I plan on the plant living in for the entirety of its time. This is again a very herboidy mix. You can go ahead and just chop your plant up at any node, and you'll notice the nodes have also some aerial roots. So if I was interested, I would just chop this plant up here, boom, and then I would let it callus over. Then I would place this entire section into soil. I would skip the moss, I would skip everything else, just put this straight into soil. This is a very tough, durable plant. I only had a stump, so this whole thing just grew from here, and it's gone ahead and vined off on its own. So this plant is easy. There's so many different points where I can just chop this up and root, and this is such a prolific grower. Like I mentioned, this is both 1 year's growth, and this is also another year's growth. But either way, this is an amazing, amazing plant to have in your collection. If you have any specific questions in regards to this plant, leave them down in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer each and every single one. But I do hope I covered every basis in regards to this plant care in the last year and my experience with it. So just to sum up everything I mentioned, provided a well-draining soil mix filled with perlite, orchid bark. You can add soil. I decided to add charcoal. I also decided to add some worm casting. And for fertilization wise, I fertilize with a multitude of things. It depends on what I decide to reach for at the time, but all of my fertilizers are well balanced and safe to use on everything. If you're interested in the fertilizers that I use, I will have them linked below, and some I might be able to provide some discounts for you. For example, liquid dirt. Lighting wise, the more light that you can provide it, the better. If you can give this very good, strong, indirect sunlight, the happier this plant will be. Watering wise, water this plant fully. Make sure you cover all of the surface area of the plant and make sure the water runs through, and you can let the plant soak up the excess water and toss out whatever's left in the saucer. If you're interested in propagating, just go ahead and boom, chop them below a node, let it callus, and stick it right into soil if you're comfortable using that propagation method. But with any plant, you can propagate via soil, water, leca, moss, perlite, vermiculite, however way you want. You can even air layer. What I actually think I might do is experiment with this plant with air layering, because this is the perfect plant to air layer. It's just so linear and boom, 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 really easy. With that being said, thank you so much, my salty pecans, for watching this update on this beautiful Philodendron Burle Marx. If you liked it, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up and sharing. Sharing really helps my channel. It helps put more eyes on my page and, you know, helps the fam grow. Subscribe if you aren't already. Join this little kooky family because we're pretty awesome here. Become a salty pecan, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. And like I mentioned, if you have any questions, if you want any bit more information, leave them in the comment section below. I'll see you on the next one. Let's get growing. Bye.